Hello and welcome everyone to the Ignition Expo featuring the Sabre Peregrine. I'm joined here with Connor Risnick.
Hello.
So just to let you know, this is an exhibition race. It's a collaboration with ANZIA Racing. And what we're going to be doing, we've got 2 Arena Commander lobbies. We've got 24 racers flying the Sabre Peregrine. And they are going to be racing in a 30-minute endurance race across the track that you can see here in the B-roll. So what's going to happen is both lobbies are going to be synchronized. All the racers are racing together. We're going to be timing them all together, and we'll be showing you the camera feeds from the XGR lobby and these 12 racers. We have a pin message if you want to be able to pull up both streams. Recommend not having them both unmuted, but mute one or mute the other, and you'll be able to see the action from either lobby, either stream. Yeah, without further ado, I don't know. Connor, what are you excited to see today?
Well, it's a fairly simple layout track, but there's some very tricky corners in here, so I'm going to be pretty interested to see how the field spreads out and deals with those over the course of this race. It is kind of a long one, so there's a lot of room for them to spread out and get gaps in there, depending on how fast they are, but could lead to some very interesting racing around some of these corners.
Oh, absolutely. So this track is one that EchoBit from ANZIA Racing and I designed for this event, and the idea was something that there was enough room for all of the racers to breathe, with some tight sections as well as some close sections together. So let's check out the grid, and we can sort of see actually, let's check out an overhead of the map. So what you just saw was a fly through of the track. If you're familiar with some of the old Arena Commander racetracks, we have 2 of those fly-through tunnel structures. So the racers are going to start at the first tunnel. They're going to turn 180 degrees, however they can, heading sort of on a long free ride to checkpoint 1, the on-ramp. They're going to pass through checkpoint 2, called the med pen. Then they're going to pass through a chicane of checkpoints 3 and 4, so gentle left turn, gentle right turn. Then they're going to do a steep dive and a sweeping 180 around the tower of checkpoint 5. They're going to head into the checkpoint 6 structure tunnel, fly through some billboards at checkpoint 7, fly past that original tower, which we call the off-ramp, and then back to the start-finish. And that turn back into the start-finish is actually a pretty sharp one, so it's racers are going to need to pick their line carefully so they don't slam into the opposite wall.
Yeah, definitely made that mistake a few times in Arena Commander back in the day when I was doing time trial laps there.
So it's sort of I guess you could say it's a tradition we didn't want to lose, the tradition of smashing into the tunnel from the inside.
It's always a classic. Never gets old.
All right, let's talk through some of the prizes that we've got. So there are, of course, prizes. This is going to be for the first place, second place, and third place across both lobbies. We've got, and provided by Cloud Imperium Games. So we've got an Anvil Terrapin for first place, Freelancer Max for second place, and a C1 Spirit for the third place racers.
It's a very good haul of ships from CIG. Thank you, CIG.
And so yeah, the other thing that CIG was super helpful for is they provided a Sabre Peregrine to all racers that didn't already have one. So all racers are going to be able to compete on an even footing here. And so let's talk about the Sabre. I don't know, Connor, have you spent some time in the Sabre, in the Peregrine?
So I've spent a fair bit of time in it, but not necessarily in a race setting. It is a fantastic cooning ship, but it handles really, really nice. I love the way it handles because it's kind of akin to sort of like the old Razor where it was very drifty, kind of mains heavy on how you're turning with it. Only difference is now the Mavs with master modes are a little bit weaker, so you really got to compensate for that between yawing and really angling your mains to get around corners quickly. But it is an amazing ship to fly. It's a lot of fun. I would hands down rate it #1 hooning ship, and at that, a very qualified racer.
I know I've definitely enjoyed the time in the Sabre Peregrine. It's the second racing ship that CIG has done with no weapons. So it was kind of their thought that they don't need to balance something for combat when it's designed to go fast. I know most racers strip all the weapons and as many components as they can off their ships to save weight. So I think I'm definitely happy with the setup.
Less steps to get racing. I do love it.
All right, looks like the racers are getting their grid set up. So
I will say though on that, I hope that is a trend they continue with racing ships, that they don't arm them, at least in most cases. But sorry, back to the grid.
Yep. So let's check out this grid. So the racers that we've got today, we've got Jellyhead Maid in the pole position, followed by Speedweed, Gerbo the Gnome, Neojet, Lord Uton, Fetacole, IQSS, Ricky Tiki, Echo Vector Bravo, AC3 Nightmare, Commander Tenna, and Dennis. They're going to have a 250 meter spacing, so hopefully there's a little bit of spacing on the start, because I know the start grids can get a little crowded. Yeah, and I think they'll be good to go. Jumping over and talk about the ANZIA grid, so we evenly split the races between the two lobbies. Got Fresh 001 in pole position, followed by Dirk, Chikoden, Soap 1, Kolbasa, Calamity 1101, Ordito, Nox Vardine, Mr. Dreipner's, Herbie, Renless Malik, and DJ T Geek.
It's quite a lineup. A lot of powerhouses in it between both lobbies. A lot of really, really fast, really polished racers. So it'll be a very interesting race, because normally we get a lot of mixed skill levels, but this seems to be pretty stacked with a lot of high-level racers. So it should lead to some pretty interesting racing over the next 30 minutes once we get started.
Indeed. And let's just check in with our cameras here and see what we've got going for the grid.
Alrighty.
I think the racers should be setting their grid up in game. Switching over to our first camera, Grey Fox. Looks like I'm seeing the racers are getting there in position. Another thing also, a lot of these racers have put in a lot of time trials and actually competed in a lot of races here at XGR and elsewhere. I believe Jellyhead Maid actually just, still finalizing the results, but just won the New Babbage Speedway time trial competition that we hosted, taking the P72 around our New Babbage ship testing track, fastest of anybody. I know Jellyhead and Gerbo, a lot of these racers participated in the Nino Cup that we had back in August and placed pretty well.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen a lot of these racers do some pretty amazing time trials. I've raced with a lot of them, and like Speed, Neo, Gerbo, Jellyhead, Dirk, Fresh, Jacketin, Kolbosa, Soap One. Like I love these guys. They're super fast, super good racers, and I cannot wait to see what they do on this track. So, chat, what are you guys? Who are you guys feeling? Who you thinking's got the chance here?
It's definitely an interesting question. I know it's interesting because it's a 30-minute endurance race. One thing to mention is that we are allowing respawn in this race, so making it both, fast folks can go fast, but it's going to be a full track for the entire time. I know traditionally in XGR races, either the competitive and exhibition, we tend to lean towards only one life per event. And so sort of in the style of showing off the ship and letting pilots kind of demonstrate their best. If you blow up, racers are going to rejoin the track, go to checkpoint 1, and keep going from there. So the winner will be the racer with the most laps when Checkered Flag is called. So even if you blow up, it's not a do not finish, it's just a respawn. Because of course with the respawn penalty and the time to get back to the first checkpoint, and the fact that you are restarting your lap Means, for example, if you do slam into the wall right at the start-finish structure that we can see here, when you rejoin the checkpoint 1, you are restarting your lap, so you'll be down about 2 minutes, but you're not out of the race.
Does give people a chance to come back, which is kind of a new dynamic for us for sure. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, especially with speed over time and how fast people can get back in there and catch back up to the pack. It's a new dynamic, but it should be pretty fun to watch, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see what these racers are going to do.
Yep, it's going to be a good one, I hope.
Looks like both lobbies are ready. Cycle through our cameras and check through. We've got Aaron the God providing our overhead camera, so they are our official who would be overseeing the track from above. And here you can see Luigi 509. This is our race director. He'll be timing racers as they go through the start-finish in our blue XGR lobby. We've got our first camera, Grey Fox 006. So this is Grey Fox 006 jumping in and trying out camera work after trying out racing before. So love seeing racers transitioning to camera. Some of the best pilots, and it's great to see. And then our second camera, perhaps no stranger to you if you've been following racing, is Boltok, the one of the fastest racers out there, who often has a rabbit avatar. So the fast hair that often wins some of these races. One of the more experienced racers out there too. So really happy to have them on camera and being able to keep up with some of these fast racers.
Indeed. Be interesting to see Boltok on camera. I've never seen this side of his flying. I've seen his hooning. I've seen his racing. He's fast at both. He's very precise at both. Be a good transition to camera work, I think.
Oh, I'm excited. Looks like the racers got a 1-minute warning, so we are ready for this start at any moment now. So good luck, racers. Thank you to everybody for showing up, for watching, for supporting racing. Thanks to CIG for making a new racing ship, sponsoring this race. And let's have some awesome racing.
And here we go.
This 1-minute warning is often when the racers are sweating a little bit. And that's the green flag. And they are off. They're going.
All right.
All right. Looks like we've got racers through the start.
Looks like Jellyhead making an early pass to the lead there.
All right. Looks like
Speed up in second.
Grid is mostly keeping how it was out of the start. Looks like, I think this is a pretty good survival rate. I'm not seeing any DNFs, so that's awesome. Great job, racers. Great job with the grid. They are approaching checkpoint 1, the on-ramp. Jellyhead through. I know Jellyhead putting in a lot of practice on this track. Looks like Gerbo gaining on Neojet. Perhaps hitting on boost there, potentially passing Speedweed as we pass into checkpoint 2.
Yeah, definitely on the boost there, trying to catch up. Looks like Jellyhead's still got a pretty comfortable lead over Speedweed, but it's only about a second or two between the two.
Looks like they are heading into the chicane, and then looks like, yeah, they're neck and neck.
Looks like Neo might have gotten past Gerbo. Oh no, they're fighting it out. That's for sure.
All right, looks like Jelly's still in first there as we head into the tunnel. Into tunnel 2. Got Jelly, and as we watch the pack go through, looks like Jelly is speeding ahead to those billboards. Great camera work we have going from Grey Fox. It's like Speedweed behind, Neojet, Gerbo, Ricky, Fedicol. Nice tight grouping we have coming out of that tunnel.
That's a great pack coming out of that tunnel. Not far behind them, that was... Who was that? Let's see.
Looks like we got Jelly pretty comfortable leads. Speedweed just behind. Neojet. So we are only a couple minutes into this 30-minute race. Looks like Speedweed gaining on Jelly, perhaps hammering on boost there. We're going to see the first racers hit this very sharp angled turn coming into that that first tunnel. Speedweed just ahead of Jelly. You can see them come through here. Looks like Jelly taking it very tight, potentially gaining on, but Speedweed slightly ahead. Neojet going wide. Looks like Fedical and Ricky colliding just at the end of that tunnel.
That is unfortunate. Bad place to hit, for sure. Not much room for avoidance, given how tight it is.
And looks like, all right, Jellyhead doing a sort of a nice safe pass there at the on-ramp. Checkpoint 1. We have pretty stable pack here with Speedweed, Neo, and Gerbo as we approach checkpoint 2 on lap 2.
Indeed, I'm...
AC3 looks like hitting the boost, dueling with Jelly a little bit as we come in here.
Is he a back marker right now, AC3?
I think AC3 is a back marker. So,
okay.
Looks like... So Jelly needing to pass that back marker. Looks like potentially doing it here on the dive.
Yep, looks like he got past there.
There we go. Always safe to pass on those straights. I know I have blown up many times trying to do a cheeky pass on a turn, or... so yeah, safe passing is great. Looks like we've got another back marker there coming up. Speed also working on passing that back marker, AC3. I'm not seeing Gerbo Neojet. Looks like, oh, there's Neojet. Looks like a little bit behind. Let's see, checking out our overhead. Looks like, yeah, Gerbo Neo at QSS. All right, there we go. As we head back in, see we are on...
I believe this is lap 3 currently, coming into lap 4 as Jellyhead makes his way back through the start finish. Looks like he's fighting with Speed right now. Speed actually just got past him coming out of, or into the tunnel there, and is maintaining it coming out of turn 1, but Jellyhead is back on the boost and passes Speed again. So that puts him right back where he was. Different boost strategies coming into play there.
Yeah,
and Jellyhead's through on-ramp. Still a pretty commanding lead over Speedweed.
Yeah, looks like a gap is slightly opened up to Speedweed there. Let's see if we can see some folks coming through the start. So we got the pack coming through here. Looks like, yeah, Jelly, Speedweed, Ricky Ticky, Neo, Gerbo, and then...
That 4-pack with Neojet, Ricky, Gerbo, and AC Racing is looking pretty spicy. Might have some action there shortly.
It looks like, I think, yeah, we have Jellyhead with a pretty commanding lead coming into the tunnel. Not really a lot of contention there, but we're gonna see if Speedweed can catch up. Sort of see what we can see Speedweed there. All right, still pretty close.
Yep. Only takes one mistake.
All right, let's see. We got Neo, Ricky Ticky, AC3 just coming through the tunnel, followed by Fedical. Check out our overhead. Again, apologies, it's a little blurry.
These guys are staying together pretty well. Given that we're a few laps in now, and they're still only at most a couple seconds off of the next person for the most part. So it's still fairly tightly packed, but we'll see how that opens up as the race goes on, or if it closes up at all.
Looks like, yeah, we've got Jelly, Speed, Neojet.
Ricky and Gerbo are right on top of each other coming into the tunnel.
Yeah, let's see, and I think Ricky, potentially a back marker there. Oh, looks like I think we lost Dirk there.
Unfortunate.
All right, on lap 4, got Jellyhead passing through checkpoint 2.
Don't worry, chat. It's a 30-minute endurance race. You can come back.
Oh yeah, no, we haven't seen the last of Dirk.
All right, so Jellyhead is... I don't even see where he is in relation to speed.
Yeah, I think Jellyhead just did turn 5. Yep.
Oh, there he is.
Just popped back up there. And we are...
So it does look like he's put a little bit of distance between him and Speed on the last lap. They were pretty close coming into the tunnel and out of turn 1 there, but somewhere along the way he's opened up a slight gap, but Speed's closing it again. So I really do think they are on different boost strategies here, and they're just spreading out and accordioning back together as the boost strategies collide.
All right, let's jump back out here and sort of check out the full pack. Looks like we have Jellyhead finishing out her lap 5. And again, we have that pack, Speedweed, then Neojet, then Ricky, then Gerbo. And then sort of on the back half of the lap, you've got Fedical, AC3 Nightmare, and Lord Dutan, Commander Tana, Echo Barbo, Genis, and QSS.
Yep.
All right. Checking in with our start finish. I can see Jelly and Speed there.
Oh, it looks... Yeah, it definitely looks like Speed's closing the gap there a little bit on the end. I don't know if that's just better flying or different boost strategies, but...
Let's see, Gerbo potentially passing the Ricky Tiki backmarker. Let's see, I think Gerbo's probably going to take it tight. Ricky Tiki with a great high-speed turn there. I feel like Ricky Tiki really maintained speed through that turn.
For sure.
All right, checking back in with Jelly and Speedweed. I think Jelly might be in time trial mode at this point with sort of a pretty decent gap. Gerbo just getting the pass on Ricky Tiki, I think. They are right next to each other, neck and neck. That's wingtip to wingtip. Ricky hammering the boost, getting away from Gerbo there. We'll see. Looks like Gerbo now hitting the boost and potentially catching up.
Looks like Neojet and Fedical collided at some point recently.
Yep, I think they must have just lost them. Checking our overhead, looks like we've got our 4 racer group, Jelly, Speed, Ricky, and Gerbo, then followed by Neo and AC3. All right, looks like we're checking in with Speedweed just heading through the tunnel. And then checking back in, looks like we've got Jelly heading back to the start finish to finish out lap 6. So a lot of time left in this race. Luckily, some of these racers are able to rejoin and get some laps in. I think we, let's see, at roughly 2-minute laps, I think we're seeing 14 or 15 laps, I think, out of this full race. So still a lot of racing to go. So for folks that are only, 1 or 2 laps down, there's definitely a chance.
Indeed. All it takes is a small mistake, and then people can catch back up, so... It's not the end if your pilot gets knocked out. This is a lot of way to go. Looks like we lost Lord Utan somewhere. But he will, like everybody else, be rejoining at the on-ramp, checkpoint 1.
And then Jelly here. Let's see, also on lap 6, coming through that checkpoint 2. I will say I love the Sabre's silhouette. It's
it is pretty good.
So to see if we can see some distance to Speedweed there.
Oh no,
looks like we lost Gerbo on Lord Utan. Let me see.
So that's Lord Utan joining back in to the mix. So he'll be a back marker to Speedweed at this point, who has not yet crashed out. So Lord Utan is just ahead based on where he rejoined. Looks like Fedical and Jellyhead are pretty close to each other. I don't remember if Fedical crashed out at any point and rejoined, or if that's purely on pace.
I think I did see one DNF out of Fedical there.
Okay, then that would make sense, yeah. Because that's a lot of pace to overcome that shortly.
Jumping over, it looks like Jelly and Fedical are going to hit the tunnel at pretty close to the same time. We'll see. I think hopefully Jelly's going to keep it safe, essentially let Fedical go through and try to go for the pass on the exit. Jellyhead can take this turn really tight.
I mean, Jellyhead doesn't need to fight him here.
That's
Fetacall is still a back marker, so there's no point for him to fight and risk the ship and his time and place. It just does. It doesn't make sense to do it right there. Right here, perfect.
There you go.
Great place to pass.
Beautiful pass on the straight. Yeah, a lot of room on this track. We're pretty far from the ground. So again, there's some tracks where there's definitely a lot more room to make mistakes, like, you know, the snake pit where everybody's super close and tight together, and you're close to the ground, and so you get one mistake can get you there. But with the pace of these ships pretty close together, Fetacall's still getting a little bit on Jellyhead there. They are pretty close together.
Yep. Fetacall just does not want to let it go, but hey, if you can keep pace with the leader, you're keeping good pace, even if you're not in contention for first. So
that's right. If you're only two laps behind the leader, then you know, it's still you know, by the end of the race, if they're 15 and you're 13 and other folks are down,
yep, it's still points.
Another thing to mention is that the race is timed to be just basically the limit of these fuel tanks. Oh, looks like we lost Ordido over on the ANZIA lobby. So the racers are going to be running on fumes by the time they get through. By the time they get to the end of the race, and boost does consume more fuel than just regular racing, or than just normal. So there can be some slightly different fuel usage. It is possible that we could see racers run out of fuel during this race.
Which, if they do, it's not the end of the world. They can rejoin, but they will lose that time having to rejoin at checkpoint 1 and then try and figure out where they are.
So to see as we can see people come through here and complete that lap 7. It's like Fetacall turning upwards. Yeah. So a lot of racers turning left, as that's the sort of the faster way to do it. But one of the safer ways is actually just to pitch up and come over, because you're just not intersecting with other folks.
It does look like Brain, not work. Looks like Jellyhead got a pretty decent lead on Fetacall there at some point. He definitely increased that gap. Speed's still trailing behind a little bit, but he's keeping relative pace. He's still not that far behind, considering we are 7 laps in at this point.
And checking the scoreboard here, so just comparing the two lobbies. So Fresh 001, they had a last lap of 158.838. Jellyhead's last lap was 158.502. So these two are within 300 milliseconds of each other in terms of laps, and they are both on the same lap count. So it is definitely we have one leader in each lobby, and they are dueling.
Oh yeah.
It looks like all of the fastest laps are roughly around that time. Looks like we have Fresh 001 just completing lap number 8. Checking in. Just all right, looks like we have see your overhead here. Yeah, Commander Tenor, IQSS, and Dennis. Just some nice gentle passes through that start-finish structure as they head on to checkpoint 1. And we've got a Speedweed just sort of coming up against the Fetacall there.
Would it not respawn you, Gerbo?
Looks like Fetacall with about 2 minute 3 second lapse. Yeah, I guess looks like Gerbo got a DNF, so potentially some sort of bug, or we'll have to wait and hear from Gerbo what's going on. But so many things can happen in SC, so.
Indeed. Oh, it does look like Speed bit the bullet somewhere.
So if we can see where that happened, checking in with the overhead.
So at this point, I think the only one in this particular lobby that hasn't crashed out is probably Jelly. I think almost everybody else has crashed out at some point.
Yep, I think because Speedweed just took that crash. So I think it is Jellyhead leading this lobby, and we've got Fresh Loser 1, Jacoden, and Soap 1. I think neither of whom have crashed, but we do have Fresh Loser with the last lap of 157. So definitely looks like a slightly faster pace than Jelly. But I know with boost timings and everything, laps can slightly vary.
Yeah. I mean, even if you look at their last lap times versus fastest lap times, like Fresh right now, his fastest lap time is a 134.9, but his current lap pace is 157.8.
Jelly with the merge right behind Dennis. Looks like, again, Jelly's probably going to wait for a safe pass. Again, cuts it real tight, sort of on the inside there. And yeah, with just the hammering the boost there and pulling ahead to checkpoint 1.
Yep, Dennis gives him plenty of room to get by.
Looks like we've got a Speedweed again having respawned. Speedweed coming in through the off ramp and then heading back into that start finish.
Indeed.
Something interesting. So Star Citizen 3.24.2 just went to PTU, and one of the changes in there is free flight lobbies are now up to 24 players. So one of the reasons we split this into 2 lobbies, so we could have the full 24 racers and 4 officials in each with the count of 16. But so we would potentially be able to have up to 20 racers and 4 officials next patch. Looks like Jelly keeping it high. So one thing about atmosphere in this game, if you are at a higher altitude, you get less air resistance and higher speed. So it looks like Jelly keeping speed up as much as possible and going over the other racers and then into the tunnel. Definitely riskier to come in at a steeper angle.
Just like that.
Camera down. These things happen.
Cameraman down.
So checking back on Gray Fox as we come in on the other side with Jellyhead. That QSS behind. Yeah, there's definitely tips and tricks I know some of these racers have picked up on lots of different races as well. One of which being that go high for altitude reasons. Checking with Luigi, our race directors, we see these racers coming in. It looks like Boltog is back. I will say respawning cameras is a luxury we don't usually have in the PU. It's one of the reasons we have multiple cameras when you do persistent universe racing. That's right, chat. Cameraman never dies. They just come back stronger.
I will say though, in this race, in addition, there is another factor that we don't usually have to consider when we're talking about PU racing. In the height advantage, because less drag equals more speed,
like
but
DNF
less drag.
From Fedical heading into the start finish. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no worries. Less drag also means less need to use boost or more efficient boost usage. So you're also burning less fuel, which, as we've discussed, is going to be a factor in this race here.
We are, let's see, on lap 11. So we are basically 2/3 into the race. Checking in with our overhead. Caption here, we've got AC3, Echo Vector, and Neojet. Neojet overall in 18th place with a fastest lap of a 158, but currently of a 203, 7 laps. But it looks like our leaders having completed 10 laps. It's definitely going to be in contention between those who have done those laps, done the most number of laps.
I do think the fastest lap are a little bit skewed because some of them might be counting for incidents.
Yeah, I think a couple of the fastest laps we can see on our scoreboard are potentially fast, but looking at the last laps, just seeing at some of these paces.
Right, yep. They're all pretty close. 159, 158, 2 minutes, 204, 202, 205. Like it's all relatively in the same ballpark.
Beautiful shots here from Boltok catching the whole grid here. And one thing I really do appreciate about endurance racing is that it comes down to sort of optimizing every turn, optimizing your atmospherics. You're trying to, with tracks that are less challenging, it can be hard to find a second here or there. So over 30 minutes, half a second per lap or 1 second per lap really adds up.
Indeed. All right, looks
you can see Tenna coming in there to the finish. Commander Tenna, I know, loves to race the Sabre Raven in the Crux Cup races that ANZIA Racing puts on every year. So that's sort of, I'm glad everybody gets a Sabre Raven ship. I know I've enjoyed seeing that in those endurance races. Let's see Speedweed.
I do think it was very, very awesome that CIG was willing to provide rentals for the Peregrines for all the racers here today. That's a pretty awesome step forward in recognizing and facilitating racing as like a sport in the CIG realm,
Beautiful shots here from Gray Fox, watching Jellyhead come through
gorgeous.
tunnel too. Oh, it's amazing that CIG is doing that. So the Ignition Expo is something that ANZIA Racing started with the idea to sort of take new ships that CIG releases for a test drive and put them to the test in a racing context. And so CIG, of course, liking that idea as well, has been willing to provide racers with the ships.
Yeah, I think Tint was saying earlier that this is the fourth official Ignition Expo, but this is the first in collaboration with XGR. So it's sure looking like something we'd probably be willing to continue and having fun doing, because this is honestly pretty awesome.
I know, checking in with our overhead, we see Speedway having just gone through the tunnel, going through billboards. We see Echo Vector and NeoJet coming into checkpoint 2. Yeah, I think we've had the Pulse LX Ignition Expo, the Fury LX exhibition or Ignition Expo. This one. Oh, and the X1, I think. So yeah, I think this is the fourth. It's like I think Neo with a slightly faster pace than Echo there. Neo currently on lap 9. Echo Vector actually ahead on lap 10. And it looks like Echo Vector with 2-minute 4-second laps. Neo with 2-second laps, but still ahead there. Echo coming through the tunnel. As we pass, see Jelly coming through, and this is lap 12. Looks like ahead on the other lobby. Looks like Fresh just hit lap 13, so I think Jelly is, let's see if we look at this, only maybe 2 checkpoints behind the leaders. Oh, yeah, talking to Gray Fox before this, Gray Fox was spending a lot of time going in and practicing those shots, sweeping from checkpoints 2 through 7. So it's I know a lot of the racers put a lot of time into these events to practice, and also the crew and cameras. Boltok has been in practicing with some of the racers practicing shots. So there's if you're interested in helping out with racers, there's officials that help out. There's cameras. There's a lot of folks that put a lot of practice into a lot of aspects that are a lot of fun to practice and prepare for. So it's fun to all get together and let these racers do their best and not have to focus on the logistics.
Indeed. The whole respawning mechanics is kind of adding a new twist, if you will, to racing, as at least I'm used to it, because I've done a lot of PE racing, the one death thing, but this is giving people a chance to fight back, and I kind of like it.
Yep, I think with for folks that are familiar with like XGR exhibition racing, often we do races that are between 3 and 10 minutes or so, and you're talking laps that are maybe a minute to 2 minutes. So you're doing maybe 5 laps, 10 laps. And when you have tight grids and tight tracks, sometimes you can have maybe only a third of the grid surviving. But so with the 30-minute endurance race, I mean, if you look at the racers who have not DNF'd I believe it's just the top 6 out of 24. So we'd be looking at pretty thin grids and be missing some battles here. As we see Jelly coming in just behind Echo. We're going to see if Jelly goes for the overtake here. Which I think with a couple seconds per lap on Echo, you know, it's not...
I'm betting we'll see it coming out of turn 1 most likely.
I think so, where you're catching up on them slightly, you're timing your boost, but it's not, you know, you're not getting double the lap time. I know that something I've experienced in races is maybe a racer is like crippled or missing a wing, and they have maybe half the pace you are. So as a racer, you have to estimate that. But yeah, these lap times are pretty close. Let's watch the start finish coming in here. Looks like we caught a DNF from AC3 Nightmare coming through the start finish. Again, that can be a very deadly turn. And let's see Echo and Jelly. We see Jelly do this tight turn coming out here. Just very crisp and tight, I think, as we watch them come out here on Boltock's feed, waiting for that overtake. So yeah, looks like Fresh still in the lead here. I know the times we see on the scoreboard, I think, don't know if potentially they started earlier or whatnot. I know we were aiming for a synchronized start between the lobbies, but just looking at the lap times, I believe Fresh is just slightly in the lead. Or at least we're looking at the times that they're completing their laps. Here's that pass, Jelly on Echo, and then going over to Neo, which is a back marker, but not too much of a slower pace.
Looks like AC3 crashed out somewhere.
Yeah, that might have been from the start finish. So yeah, AC3 just hitting checkpoint 2, so I think that's the respawn.
Yep.
Smithy says, Smithy in chat, I love how the racing communities have been collaborating a lot more. Smithy Joe Bob is, I think, the head and one of the main organizers of Omega Aerosports Racing, who just put on their summer festival. And there was a bunch of cross-racer collaboration there. So we had, see Jellyhead coming through there. Oh, it looks like, I think that's a checkered flag. It's, so we are...
Does appear to be.
Final lap. It's me babbling there. Looks like we are lap 15.
Fresh
Jellyhead.
first.
Yep, looks like Fresh in first. Jellyhead coming to the finish. So all racers, once this checkered flag is called, they're going to finish the lap they are on. So as we come in here, following Jelly, we've got Fedicol across the line, finishing out. Looks like Jellyhead coming in right behind Neo. They're probably going to merge. I think maybe Neo's going to get to the end first. Let's see, that's a Neo finish.
It's like Jacketing coming in second over in the other lobby.
Jellyhead finish. And then an Echo Vector finish.
And looks like Jellyhead made third. Congrats.
Right. AC3 Nightmare then. Finishing out there. I know AC3 Nightmare with 12 laps completed. I've got a couple racers still on the field here. IQSS and Ricky Ticky. IQSS with 12 laps completed, so only a couple down from the top. And then Ricky Ticky behind with 10 laps completed. So again, folks at DNF are still completing quite a few laps here. Still a good amount of racing everybody's gotten done. Let's see. IQSS across the line for 13th place. And then Speedweed for 14th place with 12 laps done. Dennis with 18th place with 11 laps. So we got a couple of racers out on the field here.
Looks like, what do we still got? We got Utan, Ricky Ticky.
Looks like we just got a Drunk finish with 14 laps. And again, since everybody's finishing the lap they're on, the positions are going to come in sort of a different orders here. Looks like Ricky Ticky is on, let's check who. I think Ricky Ticky's still racing. We've got, let's see, two racers in the ANZIA lobby going. Actually, I think looks like Ricky is done. Ricky might just be taking a victory lap. Potentially.
All right, so our podium's looking like Fresh 001 in first. Jackerton's going to be in second, and Jellyhead Made is going to make up position 3 on the podium there. Going down the order, we've got Soap 1 in 4th, Kobosa in 5th, Herbie in 6th, excuse me. 7th is going to be Nox. 8th is DJT Geek. 9th is Dirk. 10th is Lord Utan. 11th is going to be Commander Tenna. 12th is Echo Vector Bravo. 13th IQSS. 14th Speedweed. 15th Mr. Drapener. 16th is going to be Neojet. 17th AC3 Nightmare. 18th is Din. 19th is Ricky Tiki. 20th is Fetacall. And Ordito is in 21st, followed by Gerbo in 22nd, both of whom were unfortunately DNF'd, I would assume, to bugs, but we will have to wait on further information on that.
Yep, it looks like Ricky Tiki finishing out a lap there. Yeah, beautiful shot here. I guess, I don't know, anything else you want to add there? We can do some analysis here.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very interesting race setup for sure. I've never been one to really do or watch endurance racing, so this is kind of a new medium for me in terms of racing styles, or disciplines, I should say. But that being said, given that Arena Commander is what it is, it allows us to do respawns and get people back in and keep people going. It definitely adds an interesting element that we don't typically get in the PU side of racing. So that's quite fun. A lot of good close battling out there, a lot of fast guys. It was nice to notice that everybody kind of bunched up a little bit and either matched or had converging boost strategies. That was fun to watch. Some great overtakes in some of the tightest corners, and you can really see who's put in the practice for making those turns in this new ship. It's been an interesting one to watch for sure.
Yeah, one thing that I find interesting about the Sabre Peregrine, because it is a giant pancake, it can definitely get lift in some of the turns, but it can also get a lot of drag. So how you take turns and how quickly you take the turns
really does matter.
It really does matter. It really does play a large part in your speed on these tracks. So there's almost a, as some folks say, it can be more difficult to race slow than it can be to race fast. If you imagine you're spending more time in the corners, you know, you're not just doing quick turns. So yeah, it's definitely definitely be a challenge.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I think with that, congratulations to our podium. I know we're potentially waiting on some final results, but yeah, it does look like Fresh in first, Jacoden in second, Jellyhead in third. So congrats to those racers.
So one last thing, thank you all for tuning in, and thank you to ANZIA for inviting us to this. It was excellent to be doing some inter-org race collaborations. It's always great to be racing in the verse, and I'm super excited to see where we take these relationships going forward.
Yep, I would be, you know, since these Ignition Expos come around when the next racing ship or vehicle comes around, CAG, if you're listening, looking forward to that next vehicle. We can do another one of these races. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in, and let's see, coming up, we've got XGR Division Racing coming up in November. And then if you are going to SitCon or watching SitCon, there's going to be an Atmo Esports Enter Atmosphere exhibition. And Splen is going to be one of the casters for that, and I'll be providing analysis live on stage. So looking forward to that. We've got some fast racers that'll be racing in Arena Commander live on stage, which is another new environment. So yeah, if you're going to be watching the SitCon stream, this will be after on Sundays. Yeah. Thanks everybody. And again, thanks to all our crew. Thanks to everybody helping out. Just some shout outs. But yeah, we got Boltok and Gray Fox on camera.
Louis race directing. Aaron is race official. And then the whole ANZIA team. EchoBit, Canadian Maverick. CIG. Yeah, CIG, of course. Frozen also commentating. Yeah, list goes on. A lot of people. Noise Maze, Tint as officials. A lot of LNDF and Oleg as cameras. So yeah, appreciate everybody. Thank you very much, and we will catch you at the next one. See ya.